Afternoon tubers, KingGrimlock back once again for another Grimgram, and first off, as ever, a little bit of housekeeping. This is Friday night imports, late Friday night imports, so late in fact it's actually Saturday afternoon. And as it's import night, this one's especially for Thunderwing88, who often says that my imports aren't imports for him in America, just proof that we get so little here in the UK. But tonight, these guys are imports, because even though these were released as the Universe Legends in the US, repainted they were released as the Henkei Spy Team in Japan. And this is the version I have here of Wheelie, Warpath and Cosmos. Not like you wouldn't be able to tell from that. First off, I think I'd like to point out the whole naming situation was a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Dumb. Spy Team. Yeah, spaceship. You could be a spy. Yeah, sports car. Could be a spy. H-Tank. Yeah. H-Tanks don't make good spies, last time I checked. There was also the Assault Team released, which was made up of Cliffjumper, Beachcomber and Brawn. Now, Brawn is a good assault member. Yeah, he's hard. Crazy. Cliffjumper. Big-ass cannon. He's a crazy one as well. Beachcomber, the peacenik, you know. Only thing he'd harm might be something he could smoke. Why not swap out Beachcomber for this guy? I know it came out in the waves in the US, and that's kind of the way they did it in Japan to fit in with those waves, but it doesn't make sense to me why we have a tank as a spy vehicle. But, that aside, let's have a look at the toys themselves. Starting off with Cosmos, our little favourite friend. Now, Cosmos has had a potted history in Transformers. He had his Minibot version in Generation 1, and then he had a cancelled Voyager or Ultra Class Classics, and then cancelled Titanium version. And this has been the first version of him since Generation 1. As you can see, he is a flying saucer. Very plain. I'm sure that Cybertronian lettering does actually mean something. I must ask Chris McFeely one day. Unfortunately, it does look like it's just been put on with a silver pen. It doesn't look like it's been put on very well. Other than that, as a spaceship, he's competent. There's no robot kibble. You can just make out his Autobot symbol, but he looks good as a spaceship. And for a Legend class, you've got to remember these are all Legend class figures. For a Legend class, he is absolutely brilliant in the fact that there is no kibble there. You can't really tell what he is. It's brilliant. Well, you can tell he's a spaceship. You can't tell he's a trick. Shut up. Second off, Warpath. Reimagined as an H-Tank from the Generation 1 Little Tank. Kaboom, Kabow, Kablamo. What a great character he was in Generation 1. I quite like this as a figure, as a design. I think it's a lovely little thing. It's very reminiscent, of course, being an H-Tank of Armada Megatron, and as you can imagine, the transformation is much the same. I mean, you can pretty much make out the entire robot body there. There we go. Look, arms. You can see his hands. You can tell they're going to go into his legs, main torso, and the head. Nice thing is the head is exactly the same as Generation 1. And you do have to flip it down. I'll show you later. Turret doesn't move. Nothing really moves except the cannon goes up and down. Again, Legends class, I really, really like this guy. The main difference between this and the Universe one is one of the main ones is this guy actually came with slightly sparkly paint. I'll say sparkly, slightly metallic paint, which was quite nice. These are more accurate to Generation 1 than the Universe ones are. And then finally, Wheelie, everybody's most hated Transformer. I mean, who doesn't hate Wheelie? I really love this reimagining of him, though. He's absolutely brilliant. I mean, what a great-looking little sports car. It's quite futuristic, almost, you know, hydrogen gas-esque running car that you might see around the streets soon. But it still looks very much and very reminiscent of Generation 1 Wheelie, especially with the colour scheme. Slightly weird gaping hole in its front, that becomes apparent in his robot mode while that's there. But again, not much robot kibble. You can't really see what's going to go on there. You can just make out the hands at the top. I'm not sure you can quite make them out in the video. But yeah, again, very nice. I do love the colour schemes of these guys. I love how close they are to the Generation 1 counterparts. I do love that the Henkei line did their utmost to colour them as closely as Generation 1. And what I really, really like is the fact that there aren't just bits of random chrome on these like there are on the other of the Henkei line, because they would look really silly on these. They have just stuck to a basic colour scheme. Right, shall we have a look at what these guys look like in their robot modes? And here we have the spy team in their robot modes. Now, the first thing you realise is that they are exceptionally accurate to their Generation 1 animation models. They've done their utmost to make these guys look completely recognisable as the characters they are. The second thing you realise is they actually look very, very good as those characters. I think the main reason for this is that the Legends class, for the most part, is a scaled down representation of either deluxes or voyagers and sometimes leader class figures, and therefore is never going to look as good as those figures. These guys were built from the ground up to be legends, to be new mini-bots, and in that sense they work beautifully. I mean, they are designed to be new mini-bots, they're designed to be new, small, simple Transformers. The thing you get, though, is because they are designed from the ground up to be them, you get intricate transformation processes, you get high detail in areas where you might not get it, especially in the movie. The movie Legends are dire. If I could recommend toys not to get, is the movie Legends. They are, on the whole, utter toss. Anyway, Cosmos. Cosmos is a lovely little representation of his Generation 1 self. Massive arms. I mean, it's brilliant. There is just something about it. This is my least favourite of the three, it has to be said. Purely because of the big yellow tail fin hanging out the bottom, the big hollow feet, and the fact that though he has good articulation, quite good articulation, especially for a legend, his balance is atrocious. You can't use any of the articulation. You do kind of just have to stand him there and hope that he stands up as he wobbles to a standstill. I mean, again, accuracy, colour scheme, all brilliant, love it, but for a poseable figure, he isn't much cop. Warpath, probably my second favourite. I know, Wheelie's my favourite, go figure. The head sculpt's brilliant, he's even still got the 3 markings around the cheeks, the fact that you've got the cannon on the chest. I love this little fold down from the arm, I don't know why, that's just, it works really well for me, that's really nice. Again, ball joint articulation at the elbow, cannon articulation, yeah, there's that head, the old G1 pop-up head, fantastic. Hip, ball jointed, knees, I mean, he's got good articulation again. Not much of a downside really. As a legend class figure, no kibble as such. The folded back legs are kind of unnecessary, but they do add decent balance to him. Could do with some just little pop-out feet maybe. But in all, a really nice little guy. Again though, to prove my point completely, he stands up straight first time. Wheelie. Now, why is Wheelie your favourite, Grimmy? Well, basically because he's got the best transformation process, he's got the most detailed transformation, he's got the most distinct robot mode and car mode to tell apart. He has a little bit of back kibble, but it actually works quite nicely. I mean, there is a beautiful joint in the middle that rolls all the way round, and there's that clip to go in that we were talking about earlier. You know, the transformation's amazing. He could have done with elbow or some articulation in the arms, but again, ball jointed hips, ball jointed and swivel at the shoulders. Head mold's not too bad either. You know, the feet fold away. Just a lot of detail has gone into this guy. I mean, let's be fair, some legends from the movie line, you'd have been pleased if he did that. Yet they've given this guy articulation and knee bend. He's probably the most poseable of them, and he's the nicest reinterpretation. Whereas I still love these two guys' original Generation 1 toys. Wheelie's toy was dire. It was just a terrible little thing. This is a brilliant update. In all, this team works as 3 figures very, very well. If you're going to pick up the Legend class versions of them, the Universe one, I'm not sure on the colour scheme. I know it's quite similar. I think he's a bit more orange. He's just a bit more base matte red. And I think he's a different shade of green. It's not majorly different, but these Generation 1 colour schemes, I was never a big fan of the Henkei line. I say a big fan. I didn't really care much for it. I didn't see the point in it until I got these guys and realised how much effort they'd put into them.